Now, again, I'm not a journalist. I'm an international human and indigenous rights advocate, but your news is failing you, so here you go. Right now, there is an actual, real, legitimate genocide taking place in the Middle East against the Druze. A few months ago, when al-Jawlani, a notorious terrorist and former al-Qaeda commander, took over Syria, a lot of people in the international geopolitical stage were like, wait, just give him a chance. He has a suit on now. He can't possibly be a terrorist. In only the few months since he's seized power, he's commit genocide against 3 different groups of people: the Kurds, the Alawites, and the Druze twice. What's happening right now as we speak to the Druze is unbearable. The Druze are a small indigenous ethno-religious minority group that live here in the Middle East, mostly in Israel, Syria, and Lebanon. There's only about 1.5 million of them. Since Monday, al-Jawlani's terrorist forces, made up mainly of ISIS and al-Qaeda militias, have been rounding up and systematically raping, torturing, mutilating, publicly humiliating, and slaughtering entire Druze communities. Literally hundreds of innocent Druze civilians have been slaughtered brutally. The militias are going house to house and murdering everybody: women, children, elderly, men, everyone. They're taking men outside and shaving their facial hair like the Nazis did to the Jews during World War II. They've carted off hundreds of Druze women to be sold as sex slaves, mainly by ISIS, who is well known for their legacy of enslaving and trafficking indigenous women like Kurds, Yazidis, Druze, Assyrians as sex slaves. These ISIS and al-Qaeda Islamist colonialist terrorists that are working for Jawlani are proudly posting these horrible videos of all of these mountains of bodies of innocent Druze civilians that they've slaughtered, including women and children. They're driving over their corpses with their cars. They're calling them dogs. They're violating and mutilating their corpses. They've slaughtered entire families. And while the entire world remains silent, Israel actually stepped up to defend and protect the Druze. Israel has actually spent the last 2 days striking Jawlani's forces, trying to stop these psychotic murdering terrorists from raping and torturing and killing innocent civilians. Not enough. It's not enough. Israel can't be the only state that's stepping up to protect these people. Not only are we already engaged in an 8-fronted war for almost 2 years now, with a huge amount of our population already in the military for months on end as it is, we're also reliant on the U.S. for our weaponry, especially our defensive weaponry, so we have to do pretty much whatever they tell us to. Otherwise, they'll let us die. And Trump seems to have it in his mind that he's going to somehow win a Nobel Peace Prize for all these superficial, ceasefire deals that he's forcing into play in the Middle East and Asia, between the Pakistanis and the Indians, Iran and Israel, Qatar. He's basically throwing the Hindus in both India and Bangladesh under the bus, Israelis under the bus, the Yemenite people under the bus, the Iranian people under the bus, the Kurdish people under the bus, all for the sake of this Nobel Peace Prize that he thinks he's going to win. Instead of trying to stop us from protecting the Druze, the U.S. needs to step up and protect the Druze themselves. Somebody needs to explain to Trump that if he really wants a Nobel Peace Prize, he needs to get it by actually creating peace. And that's not done by allowing Islamist terrorists to slaughter innocent civilians and tell their victims not to fight back. The situation right now is dire. I'm getting horrific footage from inside of Syria of entire Druze villages slaughtered, piles of bodies in the streets, horrific atrocities left, right, and center, and nobody but Israel is standing up. The Syrian army has cut off water, food, and electricity to the Druze. People message me telling me that their niece and nephew were slaughtered. I have a voice note from a woman telling me that she's hiding alone in her house with a gun because her children went out to go try and help fight ISIS, and she can hear the ISIS fighters going house to house, killing everybody as they go. Someone's parents, they told me they just heard from their parents who were hiding in a storage unit, and they're elderly and they can't move, and they haven't had water or food for 2.5 days because they're terrified to go outside because everybody that goes out gets killed. Ghani's forces have currently surrounded the local hospital and are shooting in, trying to kill everybody that's in the hospital. This is a war crime. Everything that's happening to the Druze in Syria right now at the hands of al-Jawlani's ISIS and al-Qaeda soldiers, they're all war crimes. Everything that they're doing, the sexual violence as a tool of war, slaughtering innocent civilians, shooting into civilian areas, shooting into hospitals, torturing people, publicly humiliating people, all of it, those are all war crimes. And yet the world is silent. The only headlines I've seen in the Western media claim that Israel is striking Syria, as opposed to Israel is the only state that's actually stepping up and preventing a full-scale genocide against one of the most beloved indigenous communities of the region, while al-Jolani's terrorist military is committing atrocities and war crimes galore. And even if you don't understand who the Druze are, even if you don't know any Druze, even if you don't understand why their lives are important and don't deserve to be stolen, understand this. If the Druze fall, we're all screwed. Druze are the barrier between al-Jolani's ISIS and al-Qaeda militia and the rest of the world. If the Druze fall, they're coming for us next. Me and you. It is essential that each and every single one of us does everything in our power to push our elected officials, to push our media, to push everybody that we can, to stand up for the Druze, to amplify their voices, to tell the world what's happening, to demand that we step in and intercede on their behalf and prevent them from being exterminated.